everyone. It's so good to have you back with us again. My name is Stacy, and this is my husband Andrew, for those of you who may be new to the group and do not know us. We are answering questions, and this question we have comes from Alyssa Porter, and she wants to know, do you ever feel like you will never get over it?
Over what?
The affair.
I am over it.
Did you ever feel like you was never gonna get over it?
No.
You never felt that way? Why?
Because I made a decision to stay with you and to fix our marriage. So making that decision, that just comes along with it. You have to get over it. Because if you can't get over it, the relationship's not going to work. You can't make it right 100%. I wanted 100%, so I had to get over it. So I did.
Okay. What you think helped you? What was one of the biggest things that you think helped you get over it?
What?
What you think helped you get over it?
Just the time we spent together. How we were willing to work on our relationship.
Right, right.
And we were open with one another, and we talked about everything, just whatever. And we helped one another, so I think that's what had a lot to do with it. You were willing, and so was I, so, you know, and we rebuilt our relationship that way, so us rebuilding our relationship had kind of set everything else to the back burner and made it easier.
Do you feel like we focused on our marriage more than we focused on the affair?
Absolutely. You have to.
We gave time to the affair, don't get me wrong, because it's very painful, and we were both going through our own separate emotions that we had to deal with. But I feel like we spent the majority of the time focusing on our marriage. I feel like that was just so important, because it was like we were given a second chance to make things better. So we actually had to go back in time before the affair and figure out what went wrong. So we just took those things that we knew had caused a lot of problems, and we just started focusing on fixing that. And that just helped.
Yeah. So that was the past, and you have to learn to deal with the past and leave it in the past. You know, that's why a windshield's bigger than a rearview mirror. You need to see where you're going and kind of forget about where you've been. Address where you've been. Talk about it. You know, go to therapy if you need to, by all means. But there has to be a point where you try to forget about it and move on. Because if you stay talking about the affair all the time and it stays on your mind all the time, you will never be able to get that marriage, that relationship that you are looking for with your spouse, and to make it better. You can't. You have to make a decision to move on, even if it's one step at a time. It's going to be a slow process. You're going to take a step back here and there, but you have to keep focused on moving forward and to leave that junk in the past.
Yes.
So that's my advice.
I can remember times, I don't know if you remember, but we would have days where the affair would just consume us, the emotions, and it just felt like we couldn't get out of that rut. And then I remember you saying the next day we would get up and you could still feel the heaviness of the emotions and the arguments, and I remember you saying, okay, look, that was yesterday. We can't go back to that today. Let's just focus on something new today and not bring up the affair, because sometimes we just had to have days where we just didn't talk about it and had to bring back some kind of normalcy in our relationship and in our life and for our kids and stuff.
Yeah, because too much of that it puts you back in that situation. That's not where you want to be. It's not how you rebuild.
Right.
Rebuilding is not hashing it out, going back over it and over it and over it. You talk about what bothers you until you feel okay, and then you stop. You focus on what's the most important thing. I mean, the most important thing is not that. You know, after you talk about it and you're satisfied, you have to rebuild that relationship. You have to spend time with one another. Be open. Be truthful. Don't lie about anything. Just tell the truth, even if it hurts. That's how you rebuild.
Right. Okay, so we have another part of that question, and it says, do you completely trust her again? Why or why not?
Sure, I do.
You completely trust me?
I completely trust you.
That's good. And how long did it take you to trust me, you think? Like, completely. I know it was a process, because I don't feel like I regained his trust overnight. I feel like it was a process.
No, trust is something that you earn. It's earned. So at first I didn't trust you at all.
Right.
None. You know, I mean, but it takes time, and it takes, you know, building your relationship back is what I can just keep saying. Building your relationship, being honest, talking to one another, being open. You know, keeping those boundaries. You know, don't hide your phone. Don't, you know, went from hiding the phone and not having a password on the phone. I can look at it anytime I want it. You know, just everything like that. You know, not being behind closed doors. All the behavior that happened during the affair has to stop. As far as a wayward spouse, it might not seem fair, some of the things that the betrayed spouse might want you to do. But if you want that relationship back, if you want trust back, it's just something that's a price that has to be paid. I mean, to gain that trust back, it's earned. Okay, it's not a privilege. It's not something that somebody is easily going to give you back. It's going to take time, and they might ask you for your phone every day. But it's okay. It should be okay. I mean, if you want your relationship back, that has to be okay.
Right.
You should be able to answer any questions they have. If they call you and check up on you, I mean, it might get a little aggravating. It could be, you know, but that's what they need. So give them what they need.
Right.
You know, if you give them what they need, eventually it will slow down. Because I did it. I used to look at it all the time. I used to ask questions all the time. But over time, it slowed down, and now I don't check anymore. I don't even think about it anymore. I mean, it's just over it, but it took a long time. You
Right.
know, I would say over the course of a few years, it took to be completely trustworthy again. For me to completely heal and completely trust her, it took a few years, you know. And I mean, even to this day, there's no passcode on phones. We both hand over our phones anytime the other one wants. There's nothing hidden. You know, I guess my thing is this. If you want your marriage to last and you want to have a good relationship again, not only do you need to have all those things open, you need to be truthful. Okay? If you're still talking to the other person, just say it. If you need help, just say it. You know, because that is the worst thing if you want to cover things up that's still going on. Don't ever do that. Because when you do that, you're going to get caught. And you're jeopardizing your relationship forever for something that may or may not last. You know, and you're just jeopardizing your family and everything. You know, and to me, it's just not worth it. I would rather her tell me the truth and it hurt than to tell me a lie that comforts me. Then I found out it was a lie, because then it's just like, well, I can't ever trust you again. So we didn't do that.
No, we didn't.
You know,
honest.
I was fortunate that she told the truth. You know, so with all of that, it makes the process go a lot easier. So if you want your relationship to last and you're still in touch with your affair partner, you need to say it. You just need to come clean and say what you're doing. And if you need help, you need to get help.
Right.
You know, but to rebuild trust, you have to cut that part off. That has to stop.
Yes, and you have to be honest up front. Honest about everything up front, because trickle truth it causes mistrust. It says, well, why couldn't you just tell me the truth from the beginning, and what else are you hiding? And then it leaves your spouse in that area where in the next few months they're still kind of on edge waiting for another truth bomb to drop, when it would have just been easier to just spill it all on the table right then. I know it's hard to get it all out, but it's easier, and it helps with building trust later on down the line, because you don't want them just waiting and waiting for something else to come out. I know one of the examples that I had boundaries for me was when I was in the affair. I would go in my room, in my bathroom, and I would close the door, and I'd say I was having me time, and that I was on my phone. Well, I had to give up that me time for a long time, and sometimes it didn't seem fair, and sometimes it got a little frustrating because we had small children, and I just wanted to go and take a bath alone and just be by myself, and I really couldn't do that. I couldn't lock the door because, you know, he felt uncomfortable. Now, I wouldn't bring my phone in the bathroom with me at all anymore. I would always leave it. Now, he did help to make that process easier. If I needed some downtime, he would make sure the kids wouldn't go in the room with me. But my phone was always in the room where he was while I was taking a bath.
Yeah,
or just
and you know what?
downtime.
You're probably going to ask or think to yourself, okay, that's fine. She didn't bring her phone, whatever. You know what? They get other phones. Okay, I know they do that. It happened. I found another phone. You just have to come to rebuild your relationship. You need to really talk to one another and lay it out there. And bottom line is, you do have to have some sort of trust to begin with. You're gonna have to, being the betrayed spouse, you're gonna have to have some kind of trust, even though it's minimal, and just tell your spouse how much it hurts you. You know, just be honest and tell them, you know, let them know exactly what's on your mind, what you expect. You know, so I mean, is it foolproof? No, it's not. But if you want your relationship to be built, you have to have some sort of trust. But that's why those other things that we were talking about need to come into play. If they locked themselves in a room before, can't do that anymore. You just can't, because, you know, when you're trying to gain trust after being the wayward spouse, and that's the behavior you were doing before, something has to change. You can't keep doing the same thing you're doing and say you're doing something else, because that's not going to work. If she'd have done that, I would have never trusted her. I just wouldn't have.
Did that help you when
Yes,
I would
indeed.
leave my phone
Yep.
in here?
Yep, and no locked doors. That way, you know what? If I wanted to just pop in, and every once in a while I would, and it's okay.
Yeah.
I would just pop in, open the door, and make sure, you know, just because I was having issues with trust, and I needed to rebuild my trust, and I needed to see for myself, right? So, as horrible as it may seem to some people, you know, invasion of privacy or whatever you want to call it, that's how it worked for us.
Right.
And that's how it worked for me. And I think that's how it's going to work for anybody that's trying to retrust somebody. So,
Well, I wanted to help you. You know,
Yeah,
I
you
had
did.
hurt him, and it was important for me to help you feel comfortable. I wanted him to have peace. I didn't want him to be in the living room all upset, worried while I was taking a bath. I didn't want that for him. And this is just my scenario. Everybody's, you know, scenario in an affair is different. You may have done something different when you were hiding to have an affair. This is just my thing. But I wanted him to have that peace. I wanted him to feel comfortable and not worry, because I had hurt him so bad, and I was really trying to regain his trust. I really wanted to make my marriage work. So
And
I went out of my way. And I think I did some things that you didn't even ask for. Do you remember? I know I didn't go anywheres for a long time by myself. So in other words, I always had one of my kids with me. If I went shopping or grocery shopping. I don't think you asked me to do that. Did you? Do you
no,
remember?
but it helped.
But I think I did that on my own, just because, you know, I used to go by myself and meet my affair partner, and I didn't want him to worry and think that I was still doing that. So I might have went above, you know, the Call of Duty, but it was just, I just felt it was the only way to help you.
That's showing that you went above what I asked. So that's showing that you cared and you were real. You're just being real.
Yeah.
And you cared more about me.
Yeah.
To show me and prove that you were doing the right thing.
Yeah.
Right? So, I mean, guys, if you're going to want to rebuild your relationship, you got to do it right or don't do it at all.
Yeah.
Because you're just wasting other people's time. And that is not fair.
That's right.
It's not fair.
No.
So, just be honest, be diligent, be patient. You know, you both got to be patient with one another. I mean, there's a lot of things that I went through to help her too. I didn't like doing it, but hey, I did it. I listened.
Yeah.
Went through a lot of things. So, I mean, hey, it's not a cakewalk. It's not quick. But if you take one step at a time, I promise you, you will find yourself where you want to be if you both give it 100%. So,
is that all you have? Try to keep these, we're trying to keep these videos a little short for you guys so you don't have to sit and watch us talk, because if we get on a tangent, we'll just be here forever just talking and talking. But yeah, that's it for our video today. I hope that we answered some of y'all questions, and thank you so much for joining us. And if you have any more, please just leave them in the comments and we'll get to them as soon as we can. And we wish you all a very blessed and happy day.
Yeah, this light's blinding.
Bye.